Dun.
Told you. To me, listen, you must.
I'm still a knight.
I trained all the nights, buddy. I watched the videos. I know how this goes. I trained the nights.
Did you get that especially for this stream? Like, seriously?
Of course. Yeah, let me just put my green screen back up quick.
I gotta admit, I did not see that coming. Well done.
I know.
That was a surprise.
And you know what? I've WhatsApped you, not WhatsApp. Nobody's on WhatsApp anymore. I telegrammed you some photos, and like I've accidentally had it in the background, and I'm like, oh, Joe's gonna see it. And like I even had my lie queued up in case you saw it. I would like say, oh no, it's for like a dress-up party we were going to or whatever. You know, it came from the costume store. So, but you didn't notice it.
I probably did, but I was just like, it's a Yoda thing. So what? Like I didn't.
Yeah, but I thought you would have like noticed it. You know, like freak out.
I guess no, not really. But it doesn't matter. It is really cool. I like how how you surprised me with that. I mean, I was gonna plan. That was cooler than what I had planned. Put it that way, because I was gonna do this whole like, you know, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. But you topped it. It's fine.
I just had to. Sorry, buddy. You can
do
it. It's May the 4th.
Oh my word, no. All right. I like the way it happened. It was natural and it was fun. All right, cool. So May the 4th. Why are we here? Because it's May the 4th. Yanni and I do. And by the way, I just also want to say this. I didn't buy this robe, this Jedi robe, for this stream. Like, sorry to disappoint, but I've had it for a while, for 2 years. So
for 2 years exactly. I don't have any Star Wars clothing.
Well, you have a.
Well, there's some Rebel stuff. There's some Rebel stuff. You can talk about that. Yeah. This just doesn't work with the green screen, which is why I had to let it go down quickly and whatever. So, you know, like when you started the video, I was like, I jumped up, green screen down, set the camera, you know, everything had to happen very quickly.
Look at that production value. Yanni is a one-man band. Stage end and everything. Gentle joining us saying, I am your mother in this case, I guess. All right, so let's get down to brass tacks here. All right, so it's Star Wars. We usually on this show talk about techie stuff, but we figured because this time it's May the 4th and it's like a big thing. You know, it's like May the 4th, right? May the Force be with you. So we decided to do a Star Wars special and talk about something that is quite a debate even amongst Star Wars fans. One of them, one of the debates, we'll try and talk about a few, but one of the debates is, in what order should you watch Star Wars?
Yeah.
And I have been patiently waiting to see what Yanni's answers is on this, because first off, Yanni, I'm going to interview you a little bit, because you mentioned when we first started talking about this show that you haven't really watched Star Wars, which I was like, first question before we get into the order of things. What do you think? What's your general opinion about Star Wars?
Sad. No.
In what way?
I'm actually, you know, it's one of two things. It's one of those things that I wish I started watching it earlier to probably appreciate the storyline more, because it is about 25 odd hours worth of watching, you know, doing it kind of like back to back in a very short period of time. short period of time. I probably watched it over the period of a month. I kind of worked through episode 1 to 9, and then Solo and Rogue One, or Rogue One and Solo. So on the one side, you know what? It's tough. It's tough watching Star Wars like the way probably I did it, because there's so much information. You kind of like need to watch it again. And we can talk about the order and whatever to watch it. I obviously watched it in release order, which I think is, if you are, not that I'm a purist specifically. I mean, but if you are going to watch something, I think you need to watch it as the producer or the whatever, intended. And I watched it in release order. So started with 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and kind of, went on from there. So, but having said that, the storyline's interesting. And the one thing, which is this one big question that I had, is how did they make old people young, and how did the storyline work? Because in my mind somewhere, I knew that there was like sequels and prequels and all kinds of weirdness. And like, let's look at like Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, which kind of like starts in episode 4. 4, yes. The first one, the first movie. Like, how would you have the movie continue with like prequels when they were older, but it came out later and whatever? And that's completely not the storyline. So that blew me away. Like, for the first time, you kind of like understand that, I don't know what the right word for it is, but like that narrative timeline that they have, with where it started with episode 1 really going all the way up. So, that's actually exciting. So now that makes me want to watch it in chronological order, because now, everybody knows who's whose father and whatever. So I guess it's spoiled, so now I can just watch it in chronological order and kind of like get that different experience, not having to worry about, oh, this happened before then and whatever, because that is still something I'm wrapping my mind around, like, I don't think this is something you can only watch once. Like, you need to watch this a few times to really appreciate the story. And if you had more time, you could have watched it, as a kid growing up, you would have watched particular episodes over and over and over. Time would have gone past, you watch episodes over and over. And I think I missed out on that. So that's probably why I said sad, because if I started watching this earlier, I would have probably appreciated it a lot more. This is how I'm experiencing it now.
So you don't like it?
No, I do like it.
Okay.
No, I do like it. I'm not sad. Like, I'm sad more of a case like I wish I would have watched it earlier. Now, I did watch Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. So 1, 2, 3 I kind of watched, but without watching 4, 5, 6. So I kind of like knew that, but and those were also still my favorites. So like Phantom Menace is probably one of my favorites. But
some Star Wars fans are gonna freak out now, like, that's the worst one because of you know what it was? It was what season? Jar Jar Binks. A lot of people did not like Jar Jar. They thought he ruined the movie, the franchise. That's why, as episodes 2 and 3 progress, Jar Jar becomes less of a prominent character. So yeah, there was a lot of
there's interesting fan theories around that, because like, as we were watching the movie, I was starting making notes for myself on things, and okay, cool. Now I understand that. Now I understand this piece. Not massive notes. I was more around the especially the family tree and all that type of stuff. Jar Jar Binks for me was interesting, because there's interesting fan theories around Jar Jar Binks, which I don't understand quite yet, like whether Jar Jar Binks was like a Sith Lord, and there's
a lot of
this
fan
is a problem
theories
for me now, because I need to watch this more without being contaminated with fan theories to understand the storyline, to really start having a bit of a view, because I'm still piecing some of this together, still starting to understand. And and some of the stuff.
All right. So you haven't watched the Star Wars films in order yet.
Chronological order now.
Yeah.
No, yet.
But you watched them in order of release, which is not bad. But the problem is, like you said, Star Wars is such a part of our culture now that everyone knows. Even if you haven't seen Star Wars, you know what the big reveal is.
Yeah, you've seen the memes.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think robs a lot of viewers, unfortunately. But anyway, I want to talk about what you think. Do you think it's more enjoyable if you watch it in order of release or in chronological order? Having said, even if you watch it in order of release, doesn't really make a difference now, does it? Because I mean, you already know what's in a way the big reveal. Do you think you will enjoy when you come to watch it chronologically? Do you think you'll enjoy it more?
I'm going to say yes, because you're going to pick up on the stuff that you missed. But in the same sense, though, even if you watch it in release order, you might actually still pick up those things, because there's one or two of them I actually rewatched because, like, it's a movie that I struggled to follow. Like, I think the ones that I rewatched was 5, so The Empire Strikes Back, and it was either 2 or 3, so Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith. I actually had to watch again. Like, it's one that I just, I wasn't quite grabbed by it. So. No, I didn't fall asleep. It's not that boring. But and then there's once where I didn't enjoy the start, but then the end, like Rogue One, which I think in our previous chats, Rogue One, you said, like, watch it because it kind of like,
answer some questions.
Answer some questions and whatever, but like it's not important. And to be honest, like Rogue One and probably even Solo, going around Han Solo, I really enjoyed those because that kind of like focused more on the character than the storyline. But like Rogue One obviously answered a couple of questions as well. So that was very interesting. Which one was it at the end? Was it Rogue One? On one of them, they had to go and get the plans for the Death Star. There was like a weakness in the Death Star. I think it was Rogue One. It was her dad that put and like right in the end of the movie, it shows a part like where they give that card or that disc or something to Princess Leia, and but obviously that was like something that was shot like way back then that they just inserted into it because obviously time has gone past now. 30 years have gone past almost. So that was like a piece of just good editing, I guess.
Sorry,
because if you had to,
but that was CGI, and they used her daughter to.
Or it could be that also briefly went through my mind because I went and tried to.
They did the same with Paul Walker when he passed away. They filmed that last scene. They used his brother to mask his face. They did the same with Princess Leia in that one.
Yeah, and they're doing the same thing with the guy from Black
Panther?
Black Panther now, yeah, for the next season. They're like doing a whole CGI thing about him.
That's going to be creepy.
I know. But yeah, I mean, so I think I'm going to rewatch it definitely. This time, obviously, in chronological order because now I want to follow the storyline more. Obviously, it's going to be weird because you're going to have like newer type of like cinematography and editing and all kinds of weirdness.
Then you're going to go back.
Then new, and then it kind of like progresses. Because I saw something somewhere where like the first movie, or well, the fourth movie. So A New Hope, the first one that got released in 1977, was almost like a failure because of like how it was shot and the storyline being a mess. And through like editing, they kind of like piece the storyline back together. And you've said it many times. Sometimes it makes or breaks something in the editing room, kind of. So
Yeah.
um, that was also quite interesting because I was trying to see like how they would have done some of the stuff, because you can see the quality is like crappy in some of the things, but I was still trying to figure out like how did they do that? Like, is it because it's like 1977, dude? I was like
Yeah, it
minus
was
4 years old.
it was groundbreaking stuff at the time. I mean, there was a lot of things that George Lucas was asking these animators and cinematographers to do, and they just said, "We don't have the technology," and he was like, "I don't care, make it happen. Make it, just make it happen." And some of the techniques also revolutionized, like especially when it came to animatronics and puppetry and stuff like that. They really pushed the boundaries at the time, um, and I think that's worth noting when it comes to Star Wars. Like at that time, George really did have a vision beyond what film would allow him to do. That's why he's gone back and remastered all the old ones. So like there's remastered versions of 3, 4, and 6. Sorry, 4, 5, and 6, where you can see Jabba the Hutt has been CGI'd into the scene, whereas before he was an animatronic, very like rigid kind of thing. And so that's an example. All the lasers have been remastered and put in better than it was the original one. Apparently, if you have a copy of the original one, like, and I mean VHS copy, it's worth a pretty penny now. And if it's in mint
Oh
condition,
wow.
even better. Yeah. But it has to be that first kind of like, not the remastered, like the flippin' original. Apparently, they're hard to come by.
Yeah. Anybody
Um,
anybody own a video store?
not anymore.
Like,
That's what makes them even rarer.
dude, how does
Um,
that suck? Eh? Like, imagine all the video stores. Like, what did they do with all those old movies
burn
and
them.
posters and whatever? They probably just like burn them.
Yeah,
But
throw them.
talking about the cinematography type of stuff, both my wife and I, we love watching old movies sometimes. Like, you know, like just old movies. Not talking like 1960s like old movies. I'm just talking like older stuff, like some of the 70s stuff, 80s stuff, 90s stuff even. Although she didn't enjoy the Star Wars stuff, and probably only watched like 10 minutes of it. Um, but Jaws, we watched Jaws a little while back, and Jaws was also like in 1975, 78, and 83. And even if you compare the stuff that George Lucas was doing with Star Wars versus how Jaws was done, like, dude, that's light years apart, you know,
Yeah.
Star Wars pun intended. Um, you know, just like how that type of stuff was done. I mean, the sound and whatever is all crappy. It all sounds like boxy and whatever, but it doesn't really matter. I kind of like enjoy that. I kind of like enjoy. It's like probably like riding on a wooden roller coaster. You know, it's shaky and crap and whatever compared to the new modern ball bearing roller coasters and whatever type of stuff. But that's kind of like how I see that. But um, I'm actually excited now watching it like from 1 to 9, including the other, you know, the Rogue Ones and Solos.
Mm.
Um, I made a mistake actually when I watched it because I watched after Force Awakens, so it's Rogue One. I kind of like went from Force Awakens to the Last Jedi, so I went from 7 to 8,
Oops.
and then realized, oh wow, I forgot Rogue One. And then when I watched Rogue One, I'm like, okay, actually Rogue One's got nothing to do with those two, so that's fine. It kind of like jumps back a bit more. Um,
Yeah, you were watching it in terms of the way it was released in cinema. Like you got caught up in that because
no,
Rogue One came after Force Awakens in its release.
yes. So I watched Force Awakens first, 2015, and then I watched Rogue One, which is the 2016 movie. But I watched the 2017 movie of Star Wars first. Then I went to 2016. I kind of like
Ah, I
skipped
see.
Rogue One.
Oh,
Then I
okay, I
did
see.
Rogue One. Then I did Solo, and then I went back to Rise of the Skywalker, which was the last one.
Yeah.
Um, which like Rise of the Skywalker, I'm still into minds. Like,
All right. Well,
um,
let's before you get into that, let's actually have this debate because this is what I'm actually really looking forward to. Out of the six, no, seven, sorry, nine. What's wrong with me? 9 movies.
9.
Um,
11 if you're including the 2 other ones, but yes, 9.
let's just go with 9, the main storyline. Um, which episode was your favorite, most favorite?
Most
Don't tell me
favorite?
why. Yeah, don't tell me why. Just say which one it was.
No, episode 1,
Okay.
Phantom Menace.
And which one was your least favorite?
I'm gonna go with episode 5, Empire Strikes Back. For some reason, like it just like I don't know.
What is wrong with you?
Do I have to be
Empire.
right?
I mean, I'll even accept the Bruce answer. The Bruce saying Return of the Jedi. I'm not sure which one he says is his favorite. I think it's his favorite is Return of the Jedi. Okay, so for me, I definitely enjoy Empire Strikes Back as a
The
top, but
fifth one.
I'm torn between that and Return of the Jedi. Like those two really, like I cannot decide. My least favorite, Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, hold on. Which one? I think it's actually Force Awakens. I'm torn. So episode 1 I enjoyed the most because it kind of like got me hooked. But the one that gave me goosebumps, which is the one where what's her name? Hold on. What are we talking about?
Ray,
I think it's Force Awakens. Is it
Ray,
Ray?
anything? Yeah, Ray is Force
Yeah.
Awakens. It's the new one.
So Ray in the start, she like goes to hand in that stuff, then they then she has to like run. She has the BB-8 with her, and she like runs. And then the ship she wants to go to, like they're gonna take that ship. Then the ship blows up, and then she goes and takes the ship that she just dissed because it's like a cock ship. Like no, it's slow and whatever. And
Force
then
Awakens.
that's the
That's Force
Millennium
Awakens.
Falcon, right?
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
that was insane because like for such an old ship that has now come like through like all the not all of them, but it kind of like came from A New Hope, from 4. That was awesome. And then when they picked up Han Solo and Chewie, and like he walks into the ship, and you can kind of like just like he's reunited back with his ship, like that is
That was a good moment.
probably
Good moment.
Yeah, that was a very good moment. Like there were some good moments in that movie for me in that specific part that I really enjoyed. So yeah, I'm torn between Phantom Menace and Force Awakens. Force Awakens was really good. I really enjoyed. There was some funny stuff there.
Danny, there's something wrong with you, man. There's something wrong with you. Like there really is something wrong with that brain of yours. You're welcome. All right.
Yeah.
So let me also say this. Like you reminded me now of I went to go watch Force Awakens as a premiere. So like you could pay a bit extra, you get to watch it the night before it's released, one screening in South Africa. And the moment Harrison Ford or Han Solo walks into that ship, Falcon, Millennium Falcon. Oh my word, the whole cinema just screamed and cheered and like went crazy. It was awesome. Like
I can imagine.
Geeking out now, but I love premieres. I love Star Wars premieres because of that, because it is the true diehard Star Wars fans that pay money to go watch it before anybody else does. And it's amazing. People dress up, they have their lightsabers, and man, they react. They react to everything. Like even when the Millennium Falcon like kind of pans into frame, that moment you spoke about with Ray, they were cheering even from there. They're like, it's back.
Yeah, and because it had like that cloth thing over it, like that sail type or whatever over it. Yeah,
yeah.
That was insane. Okay. And no, okay, fine.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
But what we need to do though is obviously it doesn't help with us living kilometers apart. But when Rogue Squadron comes out, or probably called Star Wars Episode 10 or X. If that makes if that's going to premiere, we need to try and go and catch the premiere,
Oh yeah, I'm
because
doing that.
I would love to go and watch that premiere and experience
COVID or
that.
not, COVID or not, I'm doing it.
Oh, please, COVID, be gone.
All right, so
It's
let's
going to be
get into
interesting.
this. Let's get
No,
into
go for
this.
it.
All right.
I didn't study, just so that you know, eh? Just
No. This isn't the trivia thing. I really want to understand, okay, why the Phantom Menace and Force Awakens is your favorite, are your favorite, and is it a simple thing of like, I'm not sure why Phantom Menace would be your favorite, but Force Awakens I can kind of understand because it's like we just spoke about those. It was like a 30-year gap. Everyone's missing Star Wars. There are beautiful moments in Star Wars Force Awakens that make you giddy, if I can put it that way, right? My problem with The Force Awakens and why it may be the worst one made is because it's the same storyline almost to the original movie. You have a big starship. It's going to destroy planets, much like the Death Star. Or this time it can destroy universes or galaxies or whatever. I don't know. It's just bigger, badder than the Death Star, but essentially the same thing. We need to destroy it. How do we destroy it? We take a plane and press a button and boom. That for me was like, you just copied the first one basically. Yeah, okay, fine. You're looking, yeah, and also the Luke thing. Luke Skywalker is like, you can't have Star Wars without Luke Skywalker. You can't have Star Wars without a Skywalker. Like the Star Wars stories are about Skywalker. Now I know that Disney has mentioned that they're going to start moving away from the Skywalker story and making it going into a different direction, and that's fine. But the whole freaking first movie, or not first movie, sorry, Force Awakens, you're looking for Luke. And it is so annoying because at the end, after all this, he just stares into the camera and says nothing. He doesn't say anything. And it feels like they did the character, Luke Skywalker, a very big, what's the word I'm looking for?
Injustice.
Yes, injustice. That's the one. A very big injustice by having an iconic character like that just live in the back seat of the movie. And I get it. They were trying to build other characters and stuff. But there are many ways that story could have gone. And I know from research that there was I don't know how many scripts that were written, rewritten, changed, all that stuff. The one that Disney decided to produce, to me, nah. I didn't feel I got my money's worth. I left, and that's the thing. I left. I remember leaving Force Awakens. Yes, I was excited, and yes, it was cool that Star Wars started again, but I was very disappointed with the ending, like extremely. And it actually, this is how bad it was, Yanni. I didn't go to the premieres of the next one. That's how upset I was.
Oh.
So
okay. So you were pretty upset. So So okay, I didn't notice it in the way that you noticed it. I was actually more like upset that it had to end there because there's confirmation that obviously Luke's alive and he's somewhere. And so like for me, like I couldn't wait to watch the next one, which is kind of like why I went from Force Awakens straight into The Last Jedi, and I forgot to watch Rogue One. Because that was in the end where what's her name? Ray went to the island or the planet where he was on. Yeah. So and yeah. Back to your first question though, is if I had to re-answer that question, I think Force Awakens is probably it's probably my favorite. Not really Phantom Menace, but Phantom Menace obviously I would have watched first, and Phantom Menace was the first one that I was like weirdly excited about because like it was a feel good movie the whole time in a way because you have this young boy, you have Anakin Skywalker like growing up and being cool and winning and being groomed and whatever. And that was just exciting. Obviously, I knew Anakin Skywalker by the time now was going to be Luke's father, and that's when the whole timeline or family tree, whatever, started becoming interesting because, like, there's things that I didn't know. Obviously, until you start finding it out, because it was in the first or the second one where Luke found out that Princess Leia is his sister.
Mm-hmm.
Although they kissed, which is weird. But she probably also felt like that it's a weird kiss, I guess. I don't know, because that was a weird moment. Like, the whole moment was weird. Like, I thought like they were going to be together, whatever, and it didn't. I didn't think that she and Han Solo would pan out. Han Solo was kind of like just the maverick, But yeah,
don't like
now I watched it. Now I know different.
All right, so you didn't notice the copy of the Force Awakens?
No.
Interesting.
I'll look out for it now when I watch it again, but I didn't.
So what's that? The Brew can probably help me out with this. I think the new Death Star is called Star Killer or something like that. Also, Star Killer fan. Bit of trivia here. Star Killer was actually the name of Luke. It was the first draft. When George wrote the character for the first time, he called him Luke Starkiller, and then he changed it later to Skywalker. But anyway, that's a nice little, Easter egg in a way in that movie to that name. But other than that, it's the same. It's just the same thing with better graphics. Like, that's all it is. And I think
his mother's surname was Skywalker, though. Shmi Skywalker.
Yeah, well, I said the name's changed. Like, he had a family name, Sky Killer or Star Killer, sorry. And then he changed it. He changed it when he eventually rewrote it. He said, "Nah, I like Skywalker better," so he changed the family name to Skywalker. But the Bruce starting his own conversation in the chats. Quick, which character would you be? I'm an Ewok. I'm a Jedi. I think what I wanted to say here is also, like, my whole thing with the next trilogy and why they're my least favorite is Last Jedi was good. I think it was better than The Force Awakens. They gave Luke an okay send-off. Luke was more involved in the movie. I didn't like the direction they went with Kylo Ren, but in general, Last Jedi was all right. It was better than Force Awakens, I felt. But then you've got The Rise of Skywalker, and for me, that was almost like they were just trying to rewrite what happened with The Last Jedi, because there's a lot of unanswered questions from that movie, and with The Rise of Skywalker, the ending felt a bit Romeo and Juliet. I don't know if you got that vibe between Kylo Ren and Rey.
Yeah, I was trying to piece together whether they are actually like connected in some way, other than obviously being connected by the Force. But
that's the only way they're connected.
Yeah, but like, are they like? Yeah, and I mean confirmed, yes, because I mean there's fan theories to whether they're brother and sister, or if she's like Luke's daughter, or whatever.
Yeah, but she's a Palpatine, so there's no way they had any. They're not family at all. Skywalker,
Although
Skywalker,
she
Palpatine,
adopted the
Palpatine.
Skywalker name in the end of number
Yeah,
10, so number 9.
in a way, that's like, okay, so we go back now to episode 1,
Just to
where
honor, I guess.
not just that, but also remember the prophecy. They say that the one is going to come and bring balance to the force. So that was her. And in a
Although a lot of
way,
people said the same thing about Anakin Skywalker, though, that he did
yeah,
bring balance.
but she at the end of the day destroyed Palpatine and the
Yes.
Empire or the
I
New Order
didn't
or
see
whatever.
that
So
coming. I was actually royally upset towards the end of 9 when both she and so both Ray and Kylo like fell down, and what's his name, the supreme leader, was that Palpatine, the guy
yes.
that sucked the life out of them almost? Like, I was like, you are kidding me. Like, this did not just happen. Like, I was like upset.
Now
And
that
then
that's cock writing, in my opinion.
no, that was very
That's
cock. And then
cock
like
writing.
he like smacks Kylo into a hole which he doesn't obviously die in. And yeah, like just the way how it panned out, obviously
No, it
I'm
was
happy
cock.
that she's
It was,
still alive.
the ending
But
was
it
cock, dude.
was
It was
no,
absolutely cock.
agreed. But I'm still confused. Like, what is that connection between her and Kylo? Because that weird connection is that they do that teleport thing in their
Yes.
minds, where
So
she can kind of like see him and his surroundings, but he can't see her surroundings, but he can't talk to her. Like, she has a
they're
way of like
trying. Okay,
mind
so
teleporting.
this is the other thing that I had a problem with the new trilogy. Okay, so you have this girl, okay, that is apparently very strong with the Force. Okay, um, you know, and then all of a sudden, and this is what bothers me again with this with the Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, the leap from how powerful she becomes is not justified. Kylo
It's too
Ren
quick.
has had
Like, she kind of
years,
matures
yes,
too quickly.
exactly. Kylo Ren had years and years and years of training and all that stuff, and then you want to come and tell me that this Force connection that they have, she's more overpowering than him, which is why she can see his surroundings, but he can't see her. It's they're trying to establish that she's getting in touch with the Force, but she doesn't know how to control it. So it's very powerful for her, and she's going through this battle in her mind. Am I good? Am I bad? And that's why Kylo tries to like sway her and like, hey, let's conquer the world together, whatever. Um, and that's what I have. That's another thing I have a problem with. There was no gradual transition. Like that's what they did very well with Luke Skywalker. Is you could see the
Yeah.
training. You could see like him getting
Yeah, he
into stuff.
built like his own, like they were supposed to like one of their um maturing as a Jedi, like they build their own lightsabers and whatever. Like Luke was building lightsabers even before that type of thing. So he was like, you could see that natural progression with Luke, which I agree with you. They hushed over it very briefly with Rey being like the successor to Luke almost in a way, you know.
But
But
that's why
yeah,
this is why it's important here. She's not the successor to Luke. She is the successor to Palpatine. She just made a choice to be on the good side,
good.
right? And
I'm
that's what I have. That's bad writing. The fact that you still struggle with some of these things is very bad writing. Like I could probably ask you anything about the first movie, so like 4, 5, and 6. You're not confused. It's very straightforward. Same with 1, 2, and 3. Very straightforward. Maybe the politics in 1, 2, and 3, which is what some people had a problem with, is a bit confusing. But for the most part, you can stick to the storyline. You understand what's going on. With the latest ones, it was a mess. The writing was copied. The writing was all over the place. They rushed Ray's character. Even what's his name? Luke Skywalker's the actor that plays him. How am I skipping on this? Oh my word, Mark something.
Yeah, I don't know who
It's gonna
who
bother me until
plays.
Mark Hamill. I think that's the one. Um, even he criticized the movie when it was released, and funny enough, most of them did as well because they didn't like. I don't know if it was Disney interfering too much with the creative process, but it wasn't. It just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. And this is like that's my problem with the final three. The writing is cuck, and the fact that you are struggling to make connections with certain things, and you're like confused, like how did he and she do this, and blah blah blah. That's my point. It's exactly my point.
I'm wondering. I'm wondering if we are going to have something like another Rogue One type of thing coming out before Ray to kind of like paint Ray's picture better, I guess, because like I'm struggling like how to make the link that Ray is actually from Palpatine. Like, where did I miss that part? Because
Because
um
he says you are a Palpatine. He tells her it's supposed to be a, I am your father moment. But they just
uh
again
okay,
cut
I
it
didn't
and
make that link.
so in the last one, in the Rise of Skywalker, when she first encounters Palpatine, um, he says to her like, "You are a Palpatine," straight out, and it's supposed to be that revolutionary like, "I am your father" moment, and it just falls flat, because the again they if you watch it again with what I'm telling you, you'll see the whole series of from 7, 8, and 9. Kylo Ren is very like, not very forthcoming with where Rey is from. Like her history and stuff like that. But he keeps on teasing her, like, "I know who your parents are," blah blah. Then he has a thing like, "Yeah, your
Yeah.
parents were rubbish people. They just abandoned you. They didn't care about you. They're not coming back." Blah blah blah. But you hear in her flashbacks, you hear Obi-Wan Kenobi, you hear certain Jedis, which is supposed to, one, tell you that she's connected with the Force, and two, give you a hint as to who she is. Now, in some of the canon stuff, for example, Fallen Order, which is a Star Wars game, which is set before the events of Rogue One. That storyline, I have to go through this to explain something. That storyline, very briefly, is about this box that holds names, all the force sensitive children, okay, and the empires after it. Okay, so that's what the game is about. So obviously, something like that existing in the Star Wars universe means that there's more than one person potentially that is sensitive to the force,
Yeah.
and Rey's name could have been on that list at that time. Maybe it's hard to tell
But
at
you
this
don't
point.
know.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of a hint as to, like, nobody knows exactly, and that's what's cock about these stories in the last three, is no one knows exactly how she's connected to Palpatine, but he just says, "I'm connected to Palpatine," or "You are a Palpatine, and now you must
No.
just accept that." And that, for me, that also was like lost on me, because I hear what you're saying. Maybe they'll make another prequel to explain, like they did with Anakin Skywalker. They'll explain how he was the father, and maybe they'll explain how Rey is,
Because there's a
Palpatine's.
big gap though. There's a big gap between like 456 um and 7, 8, and 9. Like, whereas if you look at that Star Wars timeline, um, you have, and this is something that I don't like about Star Wars, because now it's kind of like, now I don't know, should I now not worry about things like Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels and all of these other things, which kind of like falls in blanks, but it's like another series and it's comic type of stuff, so it's not.
I haven't watched this. I haven't watched the Clone Wars or any of that stuff. I want to. Don't get me wrong. I want to, but just haven't
Yeah.
gotten around to it. Um,
is
For
it
me,
important to the narrative of the storyline? Is my question, because like Rogue
not it's like
One.
Mandalorian. When you now that you've watched all the series,
Yeah, so
um,
now remember that night on the this is gonna sound weird, that night on the couch. So you were here coincidentally that night when we were watching this, and we started watching Mandalorian season 1 together. The lights was on, by the way, if there's Jen is caring about that. But that evening, like I was like, oh, this is Yoda, and you were like, it's not Yoda. Well, it's a Yoda, like I don't know what is a Yoda.
it's a
Is
species.
what
Yeah, it's a species.
yeah, it's a because Yoda was earlier than that, but that's like a baby version of the Yoda species that
Yeah,
Boba Fett was, you know, um, preserving, I guess, or something, because it was supposed to be a job and then it wasn't. But um, yeah, so interesting in that timeline. If you look at Mandalorian, that happened obviously after Return of the Jedi and before
yes,
The Force Awakens, but it
yes,
happens in terms of time closer to Return of the Jedi. So it's in that Age
yes.
of the Rebellion era or whatever. And then like a lot of time goes past, and then you have The Force Awakens.
Yeah,
So is Mandalorian 2, how far is Mandalorian 2 in that?
it's the same.
Um,
It's the same.
is it in
Uh,
that same time? Because I've not watched Mandalorian 2 now yet,
you
or
need to
not 2, but
now. You need to.
the
Yeah,
second
now
season.
you need to because you're gonna love the ending.
But
But
now I'm going to watch Mandalorian 1 again, because there's parts of Mandalorian 1 that I'll probably want to re-understand. So I'm going to watch Mandalorian 1 and then go to 2.
the Mandalorian doesn't. You can watch Star Wars episode 1 to 9, and Mandalorian will have no effect on the storyline. What Mandalorian does is the same with
Really?
all
I
the
have a
others.
question on that.
It doesn't really. It answers other things. Like
Yes.
it will answer other
Because,
things that like again, it's the same with the game, right? The game answers a question that I had with, I think it was, which one was the episode where at the end the kid looks up into the stars? It's one of the recent ones. I think it's The Last Jedi. So
the kid goes up into the
there's like a
stars.
kid at the end of the movie. He's like the caretaker or something for all those weird animals with the casino, that planet with the casino. And I think it's Last Jedi. Anyway, it doesn't matter. There's this kid looks up into the stars, and there's a line in the movie where they say like, all the Force awakened
Oh,
people, or
yes, yes,
whatever,
yes.
or all
He
the
was
people in
like
touch with the Force.
sweeping the floor and
Yeah.
whatever, yeah.
So up until that point, a lot of people, besides obviously those that movies, I'm talking about, like, there are people that watch or read the books and comics and stuff. They would have known about this, but for people who just watch the movies, it's confusing to hear that there are people that are force sensitive, and the game explains again in a way how there are force sensitive people, because there's a list of Jedi's and of young force sensitive. There's like a list of people that are force sensitive, so they
Yeah.
just exist in this world. But you can watch the entire movie and not necessarily need to know that, and that's kind of how I feel. Clone Wars, Rebel, Mandalorian, they just answer small, tiny questions, whereas Rogue One answers slightly bigger questions. They fill in a lot of gaps.
Yeah.
Those movies. Um, so yeah, like I'm trying to say, like, you don't necessarily need to watch Rebel and all that stuff.
There's a part that I didn't understand, which was
There you go. Mandalorian is 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
yeah. I have like a timeline picture as well. Yeah. There's a part that I don't understand. There's two things I want to mention. Yeah, it's the same movie. I think it's in Return of the Jedi where not Obi-Wan Kenobi, because Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh, maybe it's in the Revenge of the Sith. So no, then it can't be. So there's one where somebody got asked to build like the clones. Yes, it's in Age of the Republic. They were building all of those clones. Those clones of the people. They had those weird robot clones of everybody. So he went to that planet, like it's like a whole water planet,
Yep.
and then he went
Yeah.
to, and was it that episode where he went into one of the guy's quarters, like the guy that got made a clone of or something, and his son was there, and then he said to him, like, Boba, like, stand aside. Was that Boba Fett? Because there was an image somewhere of the helmets and whatever as well, which like I only made the connection because I knew Boba Fett was the Mandalorian, because
Okay, correction.
I would not have known.
Mandalorian is a
it's like a Jedi. It's a
assassin,
group of
assassin. Yeah,
yes.
a group of assassins. That's number one. Number two, the
Yeah.
Mandalorian that you follow in the series, Mandalorian, is not Boba Fett. The main character is not Boba Fett.
Is it not? Why am I thinking?
Yeah, and I think you might need to watch either season 1 again, or it was revealed in season 2.
No, I'm going to watch season 1 again because I want to make sure that I don't miss that. But I'm going to watch Mandalorian because only once I've watched that, I'll restart some of the other Star Wars stuff and just follow the storyline again. But
it makes sense that the Brew, shut up. Let Yanni just watch.
I'm listening to the
Brew. It makes sense if you think about it logically. Boba Fett cannot be that young after Return of the Jedi. And also, just to throw you a little
Return of the Jedi.
And also, just throw a little bit of a curveball here. Boba Fett dies in Return of the Jedi.
Dun, dun, dun. Then it was episode 3 where you saw him as a child.
Yeah, that's fine. And then episode 3 he moves on to episode 4, and he becomes a bounty hunter and blah blah blah.
Yeah. So it's not the same person. Yeah.
And then in episode 3, episode 6, he gets eaten by that monster thing. And so how can he be the Mandalorian? Because that's after that. Yeah. But watch and you'll see. Yeah. There's more to the story. I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they are going to fill in that big gap between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens.
Probably. I mean, I think there's so much that they can do there.
Missing there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think they will. The Brew's very, very passionate about this. Like, he's like, I won't watch any of the new Star Wars, watch any of the Mandalorian now. He's very, very passionate.
Talking about that, did you see they are, although it's weird, but I read the article that they're actually considering, because what's that lady's name that they removed?
Because of
from
her. I forget, Gina or something.
Gina something, yeah. So they actually considering putting her back in season 4 now. So because they wrote the story without her in season 3, so they can't put her back, but like they're considering putting her back in season 4. But now I'm also reading like there's articles saying if Disney does that, they'd be weak and blah, 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 because it becomes like a whole political BS. But that's sad because it would have been interesting to obviously see her story pan out. That's something that I like that's coming out in some of the future stuff. If you look at what Disney has to, like they've announced like 10 movies and the series and stuff, like with Obi-Wan Kenobi and a whole bunch of the other stuff. So that I'm hoping that it's going to pan out.
Yeah.
She's also badass, so you kind of want to see a season with her. A series.
Yeah, like I understand why people were upset about like why Disney did what they did, but I mean, if they're gonna have her back, then I guess
But
All's
apparently,
well that
like
ends well.
the outrage from the not community, but like
Star
there was
Wars
like a
fans.
lot of people that was like the Star Wars fans that would be like, okay, right, Disney, that's it, we're out. If you dump her, so kind of thing. But
Yeah, you
like
see,
they
this
were
is
already writing that third season, so it's a bit of politics, like
yeah, but it's Disney
um,
being woke, and now they don't know. But see, companies are so worried about business that when they have a little bit of outrage on social media, then they'll be like, okay, no, let's ditch. But then when they ditch, they're like, oh crap, maybe people actually like her, so let's get her back in. Like they care about business at the end of the day.
but how does that make
And
her feel as a person now, though? Because they just like
no, it's
shafted
wrong.
her, and
They
now it's
should
like,
have.
oh no, no, sorry, come back, come back. It's like,
I'm not justifying. I'm just saying it's wrong what they did. Absolutely, and Disney should have let it.
yeah,
So like, Disney should not get involved with tweets of an actor.
agreed.
It's as simple as that. Any company, I mean, shouldn't get involved with personal tweets. Um, and there should have been a meeting. There should have been so many things that should have happened, but they didn't. And if I was her, I'd make them grovel. To be honest, like I'd make Disney. Or I don't think you can. Disney is a very big company, and I'm sure the moment she's like acting all hoity-toity, they'll be like, "Well, then screw you." But I mean, in some way, Disney needs to rectify this. Um, but it was good to see that a lot of her fans were like, this is BS. Like she didn't really. It's not really anything to really cry about. It's just a few woke people throwing their toys out of the cot. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe things are shifting. I don't know. I don't know. This one remains to be seen. But I know that she got a lot of. She actually, ironically enough, became even more famous when they ditched her.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
no, true. That's
so
true.
yeah.
Well,
Um,
let's hope it pans out. It would be cool if she sticks to
I
the
like that
storyline because
character.
that was,
Yeah, I like
yeah.
that character.
And like I said, she's
But
badass. Like, I
yeah,
like
but you see,
badass
she's a
in movies.
Republican. She supports. I think she supported Trump at the time. Like during that time, during that climate, then
Yeah.
Um. Anyway,
Rolling my eyes, smiley.
yeah. Anyway, this is kind of off topic. I don't have much time, so we do need to wrap things up. But I enjoyed this conversation, and it's not over. That's the thing; it's not over. So I think we'll pick this up in another episode at some point. But I would like to hear from anybody who watches this after the fact, and let me know in the comments. What's your favorite Star Wars movie, and why? If you can write it within the short amount of time. So yeah, I don't know what the brew means here by she wasn't actually. I think he means she wasn't actually
And
canceled.
and in the comments, let us know if you were like me, a Star Wars noob, which order did you watch it in? Did you
Yeah.
go release
Or which
order
order do
or
you
did you
prefer to
go
watch it in?
yeah,
No. And
because
go ahead. Sorry.
no, because like is there a right or a wrong way? I don't know. Depending on how much of a purist you are, you'll probably want to watch it as the writer, director, producer, whatever you call it, intended. So, yeah. Return of the Jedi was the best. Return of the Jedi sucked.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with Yanni. Let me clarify. I don't agree with Yanni. Yanni doesn't know what's good for him. I saw a mention earlier. I just want to before we go. I want to see this comment. I kind of peered at it and I was like, I need to get back to that comment, and I'm just looking for it quickly. Some gentle inflatables. I remember that. Let me just see quickly. Where is it? Something about Star Trek. I can't see it now. Must have.
Well,
Oh, there we
while
go.
you're looking for that comment, what I enjoyed about Return of the Jedi is that's where the Ewoks was in.
Yes.
The Ewoks was cool.
Fun fact. Gentle Inflatable saying, I see Star Trek started before Star Wars. That is true. That is true, but it's not the same. Anybody who
Yeah, I'm not
thinks
much of a Trekkie.
Have you watched Star Trek?
Some of it, yeah, but like,
I watched. Okay, I'll give Star Trek credit on this. Okay, the new one, crap. The new one that they tried to restart and reboot. The new movies by J.J. Abrams were not bad. I did enjoy them. The series, very interesting of how the series were made and all the politics that went into it and all that stuff. Um, the best series, in my opinion, of Star Trek is Voyager. Everything else from that is cock. And sorry if there's any Star Trek fans out there, but that's how I feel. And I prefer, like, unreservedly prefer, without a doubt, Star Wars. Star Wars is the shit. Like, Star Wars is perfection in that universe of sci-fi. And there's a lot of people that will debate me on that, and that's fine.
yeah,
But we
there's
have
been some cool memes. That's about
laser
it.
swords. We have
Yes.
laser swords. So yeah.
Yeah. I want a 3D print one.
Dude, I hope
3D
one day
print a
I'll be able to
lightsaber.
get a lightsaber. I really want to get a lightsaber, like the one
Like
that.
a real one, not. I'm talking about a real one,
Yeah,
not
I know
some
you're
other
talking.
made
I
one
know.
with
No, I know
plasma
you're.
PS. No,
I know you're
a
talking
real
about a
one.
real one. That's the tech is still far away. I'm talking about the replica one. I want to get one, and I will one day. It is my life goal. One of them. My
Which
bucket list.
replica one you talking about? It's like the one like Mareka has.
Not yes, that one.
Okay.
Yeah, the one that makes sounds and lights up nicely.
There's a nice new one out now. I'll send you a link. There's a guy that does reviews on all the replica lightsabers. And he did a new review video in 2021. There's a new one out that's like insane.
Okay.
Um,
What is it, like 10,000 rand? Because I can't afford that.
I don't know what it costs. I didn't check, but it's made with a NeoPixel, which is like a tech that they use for LEDs to use like addressable LEDs to make like the LED lights and strip lights and whatever. But it's got a NeoPixel in it, so you can obviously cycle through the different colors, which we didn't talk about because it's interesting that Ray has a yellow lightsaber now at the end. Like, anyway, but yeah, that's a very cool lightsaber tech that they're using with the NeoPixels and the sounds when you bang it and whatever.
Yeah. All right. I have to go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm sorry that it was a bit later than usual. Broadcasting will commence to normal times starting from tomorrow. Speaking of which, tomorrow I am interviewing Helen Zilla, and we're going to talk about Go Woke, Go Broke, her new book, and a lot of other things. So yeah, that book. I've been reading her book, almost done with it. It's very interesting, very nice, easy read, and also well worth it, I think. I'm finding some interesting things about the DA that I didn't know about, and some interesting things about politics as well that I definitely want to try and speak to her about tomorrow if she's willing to divulge a little bit. But definitely, if you can, if you're interested, give that book a read. It's worth it. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I am Joby One Kenobi, and I am here with Joe. I am your Yoda. Do you want to say anything before we go?
A good night you must have.
Can't
That
even,
works
you
in
didn't
Yoda
even
speak.
you didn't even try and do the Yoda voice.
Good night you must have. Does that
I'll
work?
let you. Good attempt. I like it. No, you tried. It's good. It's good. I can't do it. I can't do it. So kudos to you for trying. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back, Yanni and I, to continue our series of the future of tech. We will be back in 2 weeks for that. I will be back tomorrow night, as I said. Thank you all so much for watching and tuning in. Again, let us know what you think in the comments. What's the best way to watch the Star Wars series, in your opinion? And also, which ones were your favorite and least favorite? Let us know. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys have been amazing. Thank you all so much for tuning in once again. And I will see you at the next one. Stay safe. Be kind to one another. Cheers.